Okay, people. March 23rd of 2024. Oh, let me go turn off this light. Hold on a minute. Okay, so in this video, we've got cities with police, seeing agencies, whether federal or district, right? The national source force, right? Coming in with buses and dismantling tent cities and taking people to the transition center for referrals that may or may not lead to temporary housing with the prospect of perhaps long-term housing for displaced individuals that are homeless. Well, on this video, which is up on BitChute, I haven't watched it yet, just the little intro, and basically what it is it's the death ban in China, where everybody knows about it because the government wants them to know about it because it puts fear into the people. But it's still somewhat as a rumor in regards to, I guess you could say, mainstream, because it's very draconian, right? In terms of van drives up, they put you in the van, and that's it. You're gone. So let's just carry on and see what this guy found, because he found this information. He said he lived in China. He heard about it, but he never seen it for himself. But now that this video is surfaced, he's convinced that they exist. No, as a matter, no, he's seen the vans, but he didn't. I think he said he's seen the vans, but he couldn't, like, he didn't know what they were for. And being that he had seen them and now he's seen the video, he knows exactly what they're for, because, you know, at one point he didn't want to believe the rumor that they were death vans, right? I guess they pick up people and execute them in the van and then probably proceed to participate in illegal organ harvesting and the off sale of other body parts. Okay, so let's just listen.
Despicable and horrible people out there. In fact, let me make it simple for you. Thousands of companies are collecting, aggregating, and trading your personal data without you knowing anything about it.
Okay, so what? Is he trying to promote maybe some sort of web browser here? What does this have to do with vans?
But you have the right to request data brokers to
Okay, so hold on. Let's get past his promotion here. Okay, I think now we're on to the video. He said he translated it to English. This is your last breakfast on Earth. After finishing this meal, I'll just read. You are about to hit the road.
So, this video puts you in the perspective of somebody that's about to be executed via death van. Now, it's kind of framed in that way, I think, on purpose, because it's supposed to make you feel like you might be guilty of doing something. But here's the deal. They put these videos out there as sort of a spectacle of a public execution, and in fact, just back in 2001, they were still bringing people to stadiums to execute them in public to make people feel like, wow, the government does stuff about criminals, and I better not be like that. It was almost like a way of crime prevention rather than a celebration, right? The thing is, I thought this kind of died down around 2001, but they still kept doing this. They do public sentencing rallies, and they've been doing it in 2004. They did in 2007. I was finding stuff from the early 2012, 2013 time. They're still bringing people into the public sectors, public sphere, to show them off while they're executed. And again, this is not so much as a celebration as a deterrent for doing crime. Very Roman style. This is almost like being thrown in the Colosseum, basically. But today, we have the exact same thing. It's the internet, right? So the government will put these videos out so that people can be scared of doing crimes and also show off the prowess of how they get rid of criminals. Here's a CG representation of the death van.
Okay. At 10 a.m., the Judicial Police escorted an execution vehicle to the scene. So the police escorted the execution vehicle to the scene.
法警押进刑场，一辆死刑执行车，车上工作人员已经
Inside the death van, the workers have already prepared everything. Okay.
完成了各项执行准备。随着车门关闭，死刑
As
正
the
式
car
开始。
doors close, went too fast. Shit. I have to stop it in order to read it, people.
已经完成了各项执行准备。随着车门
As the doors close, the trip officially begins.
关闭，死刑正式开始。仅130
You will be confirmed dead in 130 seconds.
秒后，你就被确认死亡。随着车门打开，
As the car door opens, your body is taken out to be cremated.
你的尸体被抬出，送往火化。
That's actually true. You will be taken out to be cremated, but you'll just be put into another van. I kid you not, they have cremation vans. They really love this whole mobile death thing in China.
在这短短的几分钟，
What exactly happened in the car during these few minutes? There's the body. You see?
《时间里，执行车里究竟发生了什么？假如你是一个
If you were a death row prisoner, how would you be executed?
死刑犯，你会被怎样处？
You see how this is framed? It's like, how would you be executed? This is going to happen to you. You're supposed to enter this as like a POV. This is from your perspective. How are you going to be taken out by the government?
今天，在不同
Today, it is legal in different countries to end the life of a prisoner.
的国家想要合法的结束一个犯人的生命，有以下
They call it, they were martyred. The person that was executed was martyred. Little children have lost their parents to that. People ask what happened to their parents. And little 4-year-olds say they were martyred. Martyred as in a martyr. Not murdered, but martyred. There are several ways, according to China's current relevant laws and regulate.
一种方式。根据我国现行的相关法律法规，死刑采
The death penalty is carried out by shooting or injection.
用枪决或者注射等方法执行。相对于枪决来，
Compared to firing squad, lethal injection is more civilized and humane. Yeah, but they also do open surgery on people for illegal organ harvesting, and then they die after their organs were removed.
来说，注射死刑更加文明和人道，能够减少死
It reduces the pain of death row prisoners.
囚的痛苦。
Very
So
foggy,
it's actually interesting. There are two
cloudy
main ways of executing prisoners in China, and that is through
Imagery.
lethal injection, and it's also through shooting, right? The thing is, they're trying to justify this execution method because it's more humane, and this is something they try to do all the time. It's like, look how nice we are as a government. We execute our prisoners with the most humane methods. But the thing is, like, they haven't gotten rid of shooting people in a ditch. I mean, I'm not going to show this to you, but there's plenty of YouTube videos out there of the police that basically pull over on the side of the road, throw someone in a ditch, and shoot them. That's just how it is. Like, there's plenty of evidence out there for this still happening. So this is not some sort of, like, replacement for that. It's just simply how it works, especially in a lot of the rural areas.
执行注射死刑，往往需要
fixed beds, heart rate monitors,
的床位、心率监测仪等一系列
and
设
a
备。
series jeez. Oh man, I don't want to read it. Just carry on.
在中级法院，
To build a fixed execution ground like this in the intermediate court.
建一个这样的固定刑场，大约要200
It cost 2 million yen, $277,847.
万元，而一辆执行
On the other hand, a death van only costs 700,000 yen, $97,246.
车造价仅为70万元。前
Do you see how this
And not many people are executed every year.
works, though? They're basically trying to justify having a mobile execution van by
Okay, do you see this van? It looks almost like that white hearse that drove by my house, minus all these windows. But again, on the other side, there were windows because those super soldiers were in there looking through the windows with a flashlight. Plus, there's a sliding door of some kind because they opened up a door. I don't know if it was this door or a door just like in here, but only on the other side. And we know they have the back door where you can slide in a tray with a body on it. Just saying.
by saying it's much cheaper as opposed to a couple $100,000 to build this facility within a hospital. Hey, now we can actually just drive a van around and it only costs us about $90,000. So this is like a justification of the public about, you know, this is really good. It's a cost-saving method when we need to go murder all those people. And by the way, it's interesting that they use another justification by saying, and not many people are executed every year. So by having a cheaper method of doing so, it's easier to sell to the public, right? It's easier to say, well, that's why you're seeing these death vans driving around. It's because it's cheaper and there's not that many executions. But that's simply just not the case. In fact, China, even per capita, executes more people every year than every single country combined. And that's just the people that they count, right? If you look at this graph, every year, China is executing thousands and thousands of people. And unfortunately, we don't even know the official statistic because China makes that classified information, whereas other countries will actually put it out there. Like, for example, Iran likes to brag about the fact that they kill about 500 people every year. That being said, it's way worse than this graph lets on. If you look at some estimates from human rights groups, it's estimated that people are getting murdered at a rate of about 8,000 people per year. And that was supposed to come down year on year. In fact, it's just not happening. If you compare that to the U.S., which also has the death penalty, in 2022, 18 death row inmates were executed. 18 versus 8,000, right? Makes you start to wonder what sort of crimes they're actually punishing here. And by the way, there's a major, major caveat here. You can have estimations of 8,000 people per year, but that's probably the people that are being counted by the fact that, hey, maybe they had some sort of public trial or some sort of public arrest. There are so many people in China that just completely get disappeared. If the government doesn't want you there, they literally just make you go away, right? You're not going to be counted even in this 8,000 figure.
直行车还可以异地调动使用，进一步节约执行成本。
Okay, hold on a
坦白
minute.
说，直行车是在中型客车底盘上改造。
This whole situation is depressing. That's what drove in front of my house, minus these windows. And for all we know, maybe there is some kind of window there and they just covered it up and didn't really notice it. Seriously, man. Okay, so now we're looking at... it's been such a long day. You don't even know. Anyway, this is a video that I just recently did. The rabbit hole goes deep. Fentanyl equals bodies, March 19th of 2024, number 34 on my 2024 YouTube quote-unquote playlist. Right? And it's something like March 25th at, I don't know, 3:30 in the morning, and I'm making turkey stock because I bought 2 turkeys for $24 each. They were kind of tiny, But anyway, here is the van that looks almost similar to the van that I was talking about earlier when it comes to the death van in China. If you look, you got the windows coming in like that. Here, I suppose those are tinted windows of some sort, or maybe that's just the way they paint their vehicle. Because with the vehicle that drove past my front door, with that man in it, that was basically kidnapped. Yeah. Oh my God, I've been having such a problem with my mouse. I had to change it and I'm still having a problem. Here they've got it blurred out, but you can see the window is the same. I think this just keeps going. So we're just going to run it and then we're going to stop it. Put 9 bodies in there, based on what that Sean was talking about. Okay. This thing just strolled on by. Okay. There's your evil eye window with the black on the bottom. Right in here somewhere. Oh, let's see. Yeah, it's right here. It's the same. They have that with this one as well. Do you see? Only they don't have the white, they just have it that way. And then they blacked out the windows. Whether those are windows or not, I don't know. But here, almost the same. This one is not as long, but it's long enough to hold a body in it. Yeah. Here you don't see anything, but that's not to say exposure wouldn't pick up something. Good. Perfect for a male man, like a male body. Yeah. With some people sitting with their tube. It's about the size of an ambulance, regular size ambulance, maybe just a little longer. Yeah. Oops, their perfusion machine, anything else they're fucking doing. A snuff movie, recording the final end. Yeah, recording the final end. While China is going around terrorizing their own population with the death ban. Saying it's cheaper to do it this way, on the go, than having public executions in coliseums or wherever they do them. Okay, so let's just finish listening to this video. China death bans are not only real, they are terrifying. Video that was not meant for us to see. Who's doing this? Well, this guy here, this channel takes videos from other people's channels and uploads them, right? So I don't know if they put it in the description box. I don't see anything in here. More. Let's see. Don't know if they provide the link. Wrote a bunch of stuff. From the statistics on how many are killed each year, it looks like we are way behind. However, if we just started executing pedophile politicians the United States could catch up and pass China in less than 90 days. Okay. Anyway. Sources. Alright. Anyway, let's just carry on.
造而成，长度在7到8米，内部净高约为1.7米。
Oh yeah. Made in about 1.7 meters wide. Inside is about 1.7 meters wide.
以这份专
The patent shows it is divided into 3 parts.
利为例，分驾驶
The driving area, the observation, command area, and the execution area.
区、观察指挥区、执行区3个部分。驾驶舱与
The cockpit is basically the same as the ordinary cockpit.
普通驾驶舱基本无异，但装备了
Equipped with a variety of sophisticated monitoring equipment.
多种精密的监控设备，可对几公里
Which can monitor situation within a few kilometer range. So, what is that saying? Somebody else a few kilometers away can be watching the whole thing?
范围内的异常情况进行监控。执行区
The execution area is the place where executions are carried out.
是行刑的地点，长度约为2米。
It's a 2-meter, missed it, not going to take it back, probably a 2-meter area.
整个区域围有
This entire area is contained. No escaping.
窗帘儿，这里不只有
Or maybe it said curtained. The entire area was curtained. Or contained. I'm tired, people. There's more than just the execution bed in front of you. That's what it looks like inside.
眼前的执行床。
I really hate how clinical this is. Like, this is put out, in the beginning at least, before it gets absolutely disgusting and dark. In the beginning, at least, it's put out there almost like an educational video for people to understand about these death fans. And it's exactly what the Chinese government doesn't want you to see, but it's exactly what they show their citizens. And in fact, you can confirm, you know, with these patents and these documents, if you look at some of the real footage and the real pictures, it is in fact curtained off. So at least they give you that semblance of privacy as you are executed in the back of a van. It's really grim and also very dystopian. The fact that you have to, when you're strapped down and laying there, you're looking up at the Communist Party of China's insignia, and right above that is a security camera.
还有能监测受
It can also monitor the heartbeat of prisoners.
受刑人心跳、呼吸等生理指标的医疗设备。
Medical equipment for respiratory and other physiological indicators.
当你被验明
After verifying the identity of the prisoner person,
受刑人身份后，法警
the bailiff will use 4 safety belts.
就会用4条安全带将你固定
You're fixed to the execution bed.
在执行床上，随后连接好
Then connected to the electrocardiograph and electrocephalology graph.
心电图机和脑电图机，在与这里仅
In the observation area separated only by glass.
一玻璃之隔的观察区，执行官会将
The ex-officer will have a panoramic view of everything in the execution
将执行区的一切尽收眼底，并通过电话、电脑
communication through devices such as phones, computers, cameras, etc. Oops. Oh, well. Go figure, man. What did I do? Oh, Lord. I don't even know where I was in there. We'll just start it wherever.
Laying there, you're looking up at the Communist Party of China.
是为了验证针头没有被
Heard
堵塞。
that.
此时，
At this time, you still retain the last consciousness before death. So I guess they injected them. We missed that part. So they say. After the button is pressed. So they say. Yeah. As if this is humane, right?
后4种不同的药
4 pharmaceuticals are injected into the prisoner veins at 30 ml per minute.
药液将以每分钟30毫升的速度依次注入犯人静脉。第一针通常
The first one is sodium chloride.
为生理盐水，这是为了验证针头
This is to verify that the needle is not blocked.
没有被堵塞。此时，你还
At this time, you still retain the last consciousness before death.
保留着死前最后的清醒，过去的回忆
Memories from the past start to attack you.
开始攻击你。你想起家
You think of your family's expectations.
人的期盼，想起未曾对
You think of the promises that you never kept.
他兑现的诺言，想起犯罪时
You think of the indifference to the other people's lives when you committed crime.
对他人生命的漠视。
Do you see what this is? This is like trying to create psychological trauma for the viewer. It's like, first starts as an educational video about how this death van actually works, why it's justified, why it's convenient, why it's cost savings, and then it goes into what is going on in your head as someone that's being executed in the back of this death van. That your memories will attack you. During this period of consciousness, when you get your first injection, you're still with it. You're still thinking about your regrets and your family's expectations. This is supposed to get in your head to make you go, I better never do anything that won't put me in this situation.
还有站在审判台上时的悔恨。
I think this is a really important point to highlight as well. During the first injection, you're going to feel the regret as you stood in front of the judge. But what you have to understand is that China does not have a rules or law-based system. It is the complete supreme decision of the People's Court, which is run by the Communist Party of China, if someone is guilty or innocent. There is not a panel of jurors. There are not independent people that have opinions. Your lawyer, if you have one, does not represent your innocence until proven guilty. If anything in China with a 99.9% conviction rate, you are guilty until you are proven guilty, because you're almost never innocent. If you're caught by the government for doing something that they don't want you to do, and that can be anything really, then you are put on a faux trial in front of the People's Court, which has already made up its mind. So this is a fallacy that you're going to feel this
Okay.
regret that you stood
I'm
in
moving it
full
up,
trauma
people. I'm tired.
about how everything that you did would
呈现
I
一条
just
直
wanted
线。
you to
最
see,
后，法医在心跳
right? Finally, the doctor will see you have stopped breathing. Your last heart has stopped. And your heart has stopped.
停止
Okay.
呼吸停止。
And I guess they have these vans that go around then picking up these bodies and cremating them as they're driving. To which I take with a grain of salt, people. I really do.
carry on living there. This kind of video, the amount of executions there are, the arbitrary nature of how they kill people in China, does show you that there is a massive disconnect from maybe the country that you live in or where you're from to how human life is treated on a political level in China. And I think this is one of those videos that really just brought me back to that. I think
Right. And then it brings it back to San Francisco in the middle of the night. 1,000 people or so were rounded up and just moved without anybody even realizing it was happening until they woke up in the morning and said, damn, what happened? Where did all those people go? Yeah. Why are Canadians vanishing? Talking about people disappearing in Canada. Fella from British Columbia, Canada. Another person down here talking about somebody from British Columbia, Canada as well. Yeah. Okay, so it's March 25th of 2025. I'm just taking a little detour here. Now, I have been kind of starting to work in the basement, but, it's one day at a time here. So anyway, I paid $48 for 2 little teeny weeny turkeys. And of course, I want to stretch my money, right? So basically what I did is I cooked it up in my big round pot and then I've strained it. Now, I didn't get as much stock as I wanted to, but it's very, very bone broth rich. And it's delicious. All I put in there was a bit of salt and 2 bay leaves, and they were quite large. Anyway, you can see I'm going to put this in the fridge now after it's been strained. Okay, everything's out. And let the grease come to the surface, and then we'll skim off the grease, and then that's what we're going to use to can the turkey that's already in the fridge, cut raw. But I think what I'm going to do when the time comes is I'm going to heat this up, right? And then I'm going to put the cold turkey in and I'm going to bring it, get it up hot, right? Cook it for just a few minutes, just enough to release the juices from the turkey. And then this way, when I fill my jars, right, I can continue using the headspace, right? And then if there's anything left over in terms of broth, which there probably will be, I would think, this here is just little bits and pieces of turkey with a little bit of fat and everything. So I will fill up those jars separate and use the liquid after I've done the raw turkey, right? And put it in here, bring it up, right? Heat it, get it going, let it cook for about 5 minutes, just enough, right? Then fill up the jars and then whatever's left for broth goes okay. And then this is the bones. Now I'm going to rinse these off. And I'm going to throw them in the dehydrator after I rinse them off. And I'm going to make a bone meal for plant food, okay? And then, you don't get much for $48, people. Now, I did take the skin and the whatever off the turkey. It's in the fridge. So actually, I'm going to, and I pre-cut it. So actually, I was busy yesterday. So today, I'm going to put it in the oven. And I'm going to turn it into turkey grease. I'll jar it up. And then I'll probably just throw it in a freezer of sorts, right? Because, okay, it would just probably be better to be in the freezer. Now, I have still those little ones in my bedroom that, I sealed. And we were just experimenting with that. So that's another day with another video when I come out with them. And then I'll open a jar and we'll fry them, we'll smell and we'll taste. And it should be okay because they're sealed. But they say pork is the one that really can kind of sit out on the cupboard. And anyway, all right. And then this is just Mosh Podge, whatever, which will be basically cat food. So I'm just going to bag that up into 3 little bags. And I'm going to freeze that and put cat food on it so that if and when I ever make cat food, I have that. You don't get much. So anyway, I'll be back. The harder it gets for me to see, I'm so angry at this eye doctor. He should never have changed the cataract lens in this eye, people. I was listening to a video. Oh, I don't know. It was on BitChute or something. Where There was a man that had a Down syndrome child, and I guess she got sick or something and ended up in the hospital. And long story short, doctors basically made it where she died. And then, of course, they took no responsibility, right? Because, you know, that $2 billion slush fund with those legal beagle lawyers that protect the government and the corrupt workers. Anyway. So, you know, the father, I guess he has a bit of money, businessman. So, you know, no justice, no peace, right? And he did everything that he was supposed to do, did a lot better job when it came to filing a lawsuit than I did. But then he also got lawyers to help him, right? More than one, it sounds like. And it's costing him lots of money for whatever and whatever. And apparently it is going to court. And instead of saying medical negligence, he's filing his lawsuit under medical battery. Yeah. For the principle of it, people. Because if you file it under medical negligence, it ain't going to get you anywhere. Alright, we already talked about that with that lawyer in regards to Amari. Or even myself, for that matter, with the eyes. Like, forget, you know, what's happened to me, right? So anyway, when it comes to my eyes, like, you know, when this man, he was talking about, like, you know, the government, you know, they have their standard practice, right? You know, best practices. You know, doctors follow the best practices or the standard of practice versus going outside of the box and thinking independently. And, you know, if there's 6 choices, but the government only acknowledges, well, we'll say 7 choices. If there's 7 choices, but the government only acknowledges 3, that leaves 4 choices that, you know, are out the window, right? And you're not getting the information, or you're not being provided the service or anything, right? I'm thinking this doctor, he put in the standard lens, and even then, you know, I'm like, I don't want that. I don't want spots in front of my eyes. I'm too busy. I can't afford it. I'll pay the extra middle of the line. That's, you know, it's not like I can afford $1,200 for a fucking cataract. So I went with the middle of the line. And, you know, I mean, like, it was hoop, because he gave me bad advice, people. Literally, bottom freaking line. He gave me bad advice. He should never have done it. And if he was going to do it, he should have gave me the best fighting chance and gave me the best lens. But because the government doesn't pay for it, and it becomes a standard of practice, you got to watch that. Really, you need to really, you know, I had that dream with that whatever, and, you know, and I mean, there's more to it than just the eyes. But, you know, like, go with your instincts and don't settle for the standard of practice. Right? You know, because they don't care about you. They really don't. This guy, he making all kinds of money off of me, but he not making my eyes better. He making my eyes worse. And, like, I struggle with anything and everything that I do these days. Like, you don't even know. It's, like, pathetic. But I keep doing what I'm doing. So anyway, I'm washing my pot, the big one, you know, right? I have a few of them around the house. And I'm like, you know, this pot's getting old. But who cares? You're not going to be able to use it for a while. I mean, you're not going to be able to use it much longer, right? You've only got a little while before you just won't be able to see it, and you won't give a shit. And just with the way the economy is going, and, you know, like a lot of young men, my son's not the only one, are getting all freaked out about, you know, the projection of Mad Max, Armageddon, people out of control, just lawlessness, mayhem, just the whole 9 yards, right? The economy collapsing, you know, obviously not today, not tomorrow, but on the road that we're on, it's just a matter of time. Working with Turkey, my nose is right over these bloody bones, right? That's what's happening here. And so anyway, you know, and I'm like, because he's getting kind of loony with it, And I'm like, calm down, right? Like, ooh, and I'm like, okay. So, and I'm listening to other videos with other men talking, and they're saying pretty much the same damn thing. And, you know, people are trying to wrap their heads around it, right? And, I mean, what can you do? You think you can do, and you're going to do, but at the end of the day, like, I don't know. So, anyway, with that in mind, I'm washing this pot. Now, I know I won't be able to see it in a couple of years from now. Well, I might be able to see it, but I don't know if I'll be canning turkey in a couple of years from now. And that's assuming if I can afford 2 small turkeys for $80, but I might. Anyway, I'm looking at this, and it has one of those bottoms on it. You know, secondary bottoms. I mean, over time they do wear out. And I'm like, well, I wonder if I should buy another pot. Because when I can't do the things I'm doing anymore, you know, my kids, whatever kid, I don't know, whether it's my son and his wife, whether it's my grandson, whether it's my daughter with Alex, I don't know. Maybe all of them, I don't know. I just know that they're gonna want a pot, a nice pot, right? And I got other pots around the house, but this one is up here. Well, I just washed it, right? You know, that big one. That's a nice one, you know. And I'm like, well, maybe you should buy another pot just to have it on hand. And then I'm like, nah, my son's being an asshole. Oh, why do I care if he gets another pot? Like, you know, as if he'll just chuck it out because he wouldn't realize what the hell he has because he takes everything for granted. And I'm like, well, just calm down, Karen. You know, in 4 or 5 years from now, maybe he won't even be able to find a pot like that, considering the way things are going. I mean, it's hard to say, right? It's really, really hard to say. Now I've got, and then of course I'm thinking about all the different pots I have in my house, right? None like this one. This one is really nice for doing what I just did. And then I'm like, oh, you know, videos now where in the States, you know, government, local, I guess, are warning people that, you know, they need to pay attention to radiation fallout in the event of whatever that occurrence is. I don't know, but they're asking their population, I don't know if it's statewide or if it's county-wide or what, but they're asking their population to get iodine pills. Yeah. Now I have iodine drops. I have them in my bedroom, and I bought enough for everybody. And Canadian Prepper, a year or 2 back, he had an interview with somebody that gave the numbers of drops per adult or per child, and I wrote it in my book. So I got that base covered. I don't have the pills, but I do have the actual iodine for that purpose with the directions, to which I should find the directions, honestly, photocopy them, whatever I've got written out, get those iodine bottles and put the directions in with them, and let my kids know where they are, right? Just in the event of, because, you know, shit can happen, right? I mean, but I bought those like years ago, but iodine not gonna go bad, right? So I'm not like in a bottle of the actual iodine, right? I'm not too worried about it. But I'm thinking, okay. And then of course, you know, with my son all paranoid these days with Mad Max coming, you know, whatever, you know, he wants, do you have water stored? And I'm like, well, I have a little bit. It's not like, you know, oh, I want to do this, no, I want to do that. And I'm like, yeah, well, you can. I'm not stopping you, right? And then I'm like, okay, but I'm thinking about pots today, right now. And I'm like, okay, well, you've got this other pot. I know it's still in I'm pretty sure it's still in the bathroom, way in the back. And it's nice, tall, thin pot. Well, it's not thin, but it's a nice pot anyway, right? And should be another pot around here. Anyway, I got pots all over the place. And what's inside of it is it should be still there in the event of, you know, your pipes go down, like your water pipes, everything, earthquake comes. I'm thinking earthquake, right? You know, all of a sudden we don't have water and we need to purify our water, or in the event of a fallout because, you know, Japan blew another Fukushima and, you know, it's coming our way, and who knows. I have this pot that I specifically bought that has a screen underneath it with a bowl on top, Pyrex bowl, the old school ones, right? So that when you boil your water, the steam goes up and then the condensation drops, pools in the bowl, so it's pure water. So that if there's any heavy metals in there, like cesium-134 or whatever the hell it is, 134, 137, I don't know, radioactive cesium and other isotopes or contaminants, they would be at the bottom of the pot. And then the water, as it steams up, when the steam hits the lid, it falls down into droplets and it starts to accumulate in the bowl. That's how you get rid of radiation from your water. Okay, that's how you remove the heavy metals from your water, is through the condensation of it. And I'm like, oh, okay, so you got that base covered, but nobody would know what that pot would be for. If this shit ever fucking hit the fan and I wasn't around to tell them what it was for. Because, you know, as it is, a pot is a pot, right? Who cares? Well, no, that's not true. Certain pots do certain things, and so yeah. So I'm thinking, well, maybe I should make an investment to buy another big one, round one. Because, you know, this one's getting old, eh? I've worked it like a good workhorse just to leave behind. Poof, I'm gone. Nothing moves except me, and the pot stays behind. And then, you know, if shit gets real bad, oh, I'm sure they would enjoy it. Right? What strange thoughts we think. And then, of course, I'm thinking about the pot that I can, you know, I should do a video on it, really, one day. But it's buried way in the back of the bathroom. I haven't touched it in years. And I'm not in the mood to be pulling it out. But maybe at some point I will. And then we'll do a video on it. Because people wouldn't know. It's not something that they would know. Unless you came across that information. Right? And because, you know, radiation came onto the West Coast because of Fukushima. That's how I kind of came into that information, just with whatever. That's going to create a lot of turkey fat. Alright. So put that in the oven between 225 and 250. When it starts to release the greases, don't take out the grease too soon. Otherwise, what happens is your crackling won't work out very good. The longer you can just let it just do whatever it does until it's like basically done, the better off you'll get out of the sucking out the fat from whatever it is that you're trying to do there, right? You start taking out the fat too soon, what's left behind doesn't do as well. But yeah, I'm like you. Why should you care? Hell, they're still kind of bugging me to throw out shit. Well, not as bad as it has been, but then, you know, my son hasn't been exactly my friend. He hasn't, I don't know, he's just been such a brute, man. Pathetic. So why the fuck should I care if he has a pot or not? Like a new pot in terms of replacing that pot, because I feel like if the shit's gonna hit the fan and it's gonna get real bad in 4 years from now, you're not gonna find another pot like that. I still might have a chance to find a pot. I don't even know where I bought that pot from, but I still might be able to find a nice pot like that if I look around long enough. And but in 4 or 5 years from now, no, not the way things are going. Not unless you've got like $200 and you got lucky. Maybe I could see it happening, but. All right, so, okay, see this one. This is a nice size. And when you're doing stuff like this, and they might be forced to do stuff like this, you want this size. The problem with these pots, though, over time, where am I? Over time, these start to go. This one's still fine. It's still pretty good, but it's probably at its half-life. So I might buy another one if I find one. It's no emergency on it, but maybe it's something to look for over the course of the year as backup, right? Because it is, you know, this is nice. This is a nice size. I have a size down on that that's kind of good for like just, you know, a big pot of soup, where that is good, and it has a nice glass heavy lid for it, right? If you want to make stock and stuff, that's the pot you want. Yeah, because it's, you know, it's wide and you can get a lot of liquid in that. A lot of bones and stuff, right? Okay. Okay, so we're just going to listen to the popular report, this fella, in regards to crime rate, murder, supposedly, statistically, you know, the rates are, the numbers are dropping, right? But he's got another take on it, okay? So we're just going to listen to it for a minute. The gig is up.
Just so far this year, they've only had 63 homicides, and they're very, very excited about this, that only 63 people have been murdered so far this year in Philadelphia. It's better than last year. They had record high homicides in 2021. They came down in 2022, and 2023, in 2022, and then it came down a little more in 23. And so far this year, they're hoping it's going to be down again. Now, we've talked a little bit about this before, that a lot of the crime statistics are going down in some places because they're just not reporting them anymore. If you have people that die, but you don't call it a murder, well, then your homicides go down. It's just how that works, isn't it? Their drug overdoses are going through the roof in Philadelphia. And if you don't like somebody, you know, if you just make it look like a drug overdose, well, then it's not murder anymore.
Yeah. See? I'm not the only one that's aware of that problem. He's in Philadelphia. I'm in British Columbia, Canada. Shimei was murdered. And the RCMP, Royal Canadian Mounted Police, Fraser Health Authority, and their hospital staff, British Columbia Canadian paramedics, and, well, I can't say the fire department because they weren't around, but definitely the paramedics, they all covered up murder. And you know they're doing it in Philadelphia too.
It goes into the other statistics. And perhaps they just don't want to deal with this case, so they just move it over to that category.
No, they're illegally harvesting organs. That's what they're doing. And taking other body parts for different reasons. Yeah. Selling it on the black market. Yeah.
Steve, they would never do that. Yes, absolutely they do. And we've heard We've heard people sharing with us how much pressure people are under to change the ethnicities of the people involved in order to reclassify cases at the federal level so that the federal crime statistics look better. Yeah, they're being told to do that. They're reclassifying all sorts of things. Hey, when your funding is on the line, you report things however people above you want them to be reported, don't you?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Province of British Columbia, Canada, covers up murder and rewards the public union sector and their affiliates to do the dirty work.
And we're seeing that across the board. Now, Philadelphia, so far this year, 63 homicides. Last year, which is the latest year that we actually have statistics on it, robbery rates were, with boomsticks, were up significantly, 11%. Of course, boomsticks are banned in Philadelphia, but, like, why would that stop? I mean, that clearly does not stop people from using them to commit crimes, even though they're banned. I mean, they're committing a crime having it, and then they commit a further crime by using it in a crime. So, commercial burglaries, over 2,000 commercial burglaries. Over 15,000 cars broken into just last year.
Well, we've got some RCMP officer, I suppose, some cop up in the East Coast in Toronto or Ontario or someplace like that, telling everybody to leave their keys by the front door, so when the thieves come knocking, just make it available for them to grab the keys and they'll run away with the car. Yeah, that's the cop's solution to hoodlums robbing people. It's a big joke on the internet. Canada's a joke. People from different countries are like laughing at Canadians. Yeah, we're so gullible. Yeah.
That's a pretty big number. 15,000 cars. That's like, I don't even know how to imagine it. Was it like a Super Bowl stadium or a big sports stadium, full parking lot? And every single one of those cars was broken into and had something stolen from it. That'd be the equivalent of what they've seen over the course of the year. That's a lot of cars. That's a lot of thefts, isn't it? Hopefully you don't have crime like that where you are. But Philadelphia has a reputation for being a bastion of democracy. Yes, for democracy's sake, you can commit any crimes you want to with very little repercussions. People being charged with crimes and then being let out with a slap on the wrist. But don't you dare open a business in Philadelphia. If you're a criminal, well, have at it.
Where does that sound familiar? If you come to British Columbia, Canada, and you're a criminal, you will do well. You will be rewarded, and you will be prosperous. Yep. Well, it seems to be a systemic problem now, don't you think? Or did it finally catch up to Philadelphia in terms of that rabbit hole with the corruption going through it? Yeah, because I've been saying that for a long, long freaking time. If you're a criminal, you'll do well in British Columbia, Canada. Well, it seems to be true in Philadelphia as well.
Right? But if you're a business owner in Philadelphia, they're going to come in and tell you how you can operate, when you can operate. They're going to make you apply for permits, and they're going to make you pay fees and taxes out the wazoo. Just because you're a law-abiding citizen, they're going to abuse you. If you're not a law-abiding citizen, well, they know that they can't get you to do stuff, so they're just not even going to try. Oh, well, we could throw them in prison. Killed a guy, but, or we could just let him go. A lot less paperwork.
Well,
they're real.
If they're hot capping people, murdering people by fentanyl, they want them out on the streets because they're the ones that are bringing in the dead bodies. And then if it looks like they're mentally unstable and can't keep the secret, or maybe there's too many dead bodies connected to that person and people are starting to clue in, then yeah, they'll be standing in a gas station and they'll be taken out. To cover up that fact that they were working with the cops the whole time.
Really just going to kind of probably still do the same kind of thing anyway. They're not a law-abiding citizen. Let's not really harass them. Let's spend all of our time and all of our energy and all of our money harassing.
The world is a joke. Yeah. It's one big fat fucking joke.
The people that actually try to follow the rules. Actually try to follow those. I mean, they don't shut down the drug dealers from 11 p.m. to 6 a.m.
No. They're hot capping. A lot of them. Not all of them, but a lot of them are.
They wouldn't do that, no. The drug dealers are allowed to stay open from 11 p.m. to 6 a.m., but not the stores. If you want to sell milk and eggs, no. Can't do that. But you can sell the Coke. You know what I'm saying? You can sell whatever you want on the street if you're doing it illegally. So, I don't know, maybe we're going to see drug dealers in Philadelphia, have some bread under their coat. Like, hey, you want some bread? You want some munchies to go with that? It's on principle. And I think that's where this is really important. Is you may look at that and go say, well, with the crime rates in Philadelphia, it makes sense that they shut down businesses from that period to that period. But I want you to put your hat on and imagine you're that small business owner struggling to make ends meet, and you're being dictated by the government. You're already paying for all the privilege of doing business in the state of Pennsylvania. You're paying for the privilege of doing business in this in the city of Philadelphia. Heaven forbid you sell soda because, the soda tax. And then you have all these other things all these hoops you have to jump through. They're making it harder and harder to do business.
Yeah. I just did an order at Walmart, and my taxes were like $8. By the time I did my delivery for $7, I think I paid $4 for bags, $8 for taxes, and then they added on another $1 for something else. And of course I did a $5 tip. I'm like, come on. And what did I buy? What warranted $8 in taxes? Well, I bought cans of cranberry jelly, cans of whole cranberry, these little cans of gravy, turkey gravy and beef gravy, which I would never normally buy, but they were 77 cents a can, so I bought, right? Thinking of Amari, eh? And the canned cranberry, I'm thinking, you could probably make cranberry juice with it if you had to, if the shit hit the fan. So I thought, and that was on sale. Those cans were $1.57, I think, each. So I picked up quite a few of those for emergency, quote unquote. Plus they had cranberry juice, ocean spray cranberry juice. So I bought like 20 containers of that, and they were on sale. I bought four 2.6 liters of dish soap that were on sale. And then I bought 15, the 461 mils or something, they're small, right? Of the Dawn, 2 different types of Dawn dish soap that were on sale. And 2 loaves of bread. That's it. I think that was it. So what did they charge me $8 in taxes for? The dish soap? Because they shouldn't be charging taxes on food. Right? Like, serious. I couldn't believe it. $8 in taxes for measly dish soap. Huh.
And when it comes to the government just stepping in saying,
you save the money by buying in bulk on the soap, because everything was on sale, right? You know how I buy. I showed you, right? I mean, I settled for 4 jugs, the big ones, I could have bought 10 of them if I really wanted to, but I thought 4 is more than enough. Plus, I got the small Dawn ones, right? Those ones are good for, you know, if you want to deflea an animal or whatever. Sometimes Tisha asks me for soap, so I'll hand her over. You know, I'm not going to give her a big jug. I'll just give her a small little one, right? Either or. $8, like, and I got that on sale. Huh, right? Any money I saved on the soap went to taxes. No, I saved a bit more than that, but you get the point.
And furthermore, this isn't a fee, this isn't something you have to apply for, but we're just going to shut down your business when we feel like it. On principle, what's the difference between shutting down businesses from 11 p.m. and 6 a.m. versus shutting down all businesses from noon to 11:59 a.m. so that businesses can only be open for one minute per day? I mean, is it really something different? You say, well, that's not reasonable.
Because I want to put everybody to bed. That's why. When I was working on the foundation, and I was trying to bring in a fundraiser through the nightclub, a 1-year fundraiser that would have generated over $80,000 in 50/50 sales, that would have went to helping teenage, like street teens, right? You know, vulnerable youth out in the streets, and a local homeless shelter, 2 different types of programs, right? And I got the 50/50 approved by the province. I did the numbers and put the application in. The province approved it, but when I went to the city, and I had a nightclub that was willing to partner up and let me do this, and all I asked for was to extend the hour of operation of the nightclub. Instead of closing at 2 o'clock, wanted to keep it open till 3 o'clock. And I think it was just on the weekends, Friday and Saturday. I don't think it was all week. I'd have to go back into my paperwork. I don't know. Anyway, the city denied it. Yeah, said the cops didn't want it. Between the city and the cops, they didn't want it. Well, it's because they got a lockdown on poverty pimping. That's why, people. That's exactly what it is. And, you know, when I went back to the hotel owner that had the nightclub, I told him about it, and he said that's because the cops didn't want to. They didn't want to work. They just wanted every night. They didn't care. They just wanted to keep it quiet. They didn't want the extra hour of the spill out of the bar kind of thing, right? So never went through. Yeah, it's really fucking shady. And the province brought in, when Gordon Campbell got into power in 2001, that was one of the things that he kind of brought in, where bars could stay open till 3 versus 3 and on or whatever, right? But by 3 for sure anyway. But it was dependent on the city council to allow those bars to do that. So it was legal to do it on all levels, in terms of, you know, provincial and municipal, but they shut it down, the city, because, you know, between the cops not wanting to do their job, you know, being lazy with shit, right? And with the poverty pimping, in terms of keeping control of the money, right? It's like booking me into a park event. I'd book a park event. They would give me a day when there was no money in the park because family allowance hadn't come in. That's the federal baby bonus, right? Right? So I'd be at the park with a bunch of poor kids that had no money because their parents had no money. So any pop and chips and candy and those kind of things that I brought, I ended up just giving it away. They'd or freezies, you know, a lot of, like, because they'd get thirsty, and the kids, like the parents living in an apartment, was a park with a bunch of apartment buildings around it, right, a poor area of Surrey, right? And you know, we'd be out there doing the park, and all the kids would come, very few parents, But none of those kids had money because there was no money in the community. Because they'd book me on the 15th or the 12th or something like that before family allowance, and family allowance would come on the 20th, right? So, you know, you go drive by on the 20th or on the 21st or even on the 22nd, and there's the city doing its Fusion Festival, hanging up all these fucking flags. I wonder why. I was hanging up flags too. But the thing is, right, they had more money, so they had more activity, blah, 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 right? They weren't reliant on volunteers, and they took the days when there was money because of the family allowance. Really shady shit. Really shady shit. Yeah, really fucking shady shit. It got expensive. Like I said, I'm well over $50,000 in debt. Who do you think paid for those park events? I did.
Friends, what's reasonable tends to keep moving. If there isn't a principle, if it's not, the government's not allowed to do that. Or the government needs to actually get permission the government can ask businesses to shut down. I mean, I'm all for that, right? If they want to ask businesses politely, hey, if you want to shut down, you know, that would help the city out, cool. But they're not doing that. They're legislating. They're taking away people's rights, usurping those rights with the authority of tyranny.
My neighbors, I swear, I poked my nose out today. I'm looking across the street. You know I can't see very well. But I noticed a while back that they brought in a metal, you know, those shipping containers. Some kind of big-ass metal container. Maybe it was...
It's a shipping container from a cargo ship.
They brought in a shipping container from a cargo ship. They put a freaking door on it, people. That thing has a door.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah. And then... Huh?
I think it's an office.
Yeah. And what they did, I'm telling you, these Punjabis out here, they get away with a lot of fucking shit. They really do. Okay? Now, we've still got that little restaurant. It's a restaurant. Only it's, I don't know. It's not like your traditional restaurant. In the garage, with the women in there making their samosas and all these little East Indian foods, right? And big vats of oil and whatever they do, because they make these little crinkly things, and right? And then I guess my landlady said they take some of it to their Khalsa schools, which are all Punjabis. They're called Khalsa schools. And then I guess people put their orders in, and they have a delivery guy that delivers to whoever puts their orders in, as well as other people come and pick up shit from there. Well, they must be doing really well, because and the city does nothing about it. Fucking rats, like, they're always out there. Like, Andre goes outside at night and they're like right there at the freaking garage door. Like, but whatever. I suppose they don't have them on the inside. Rats are everywhere. I mean, it's not anything personal, but, you know, if it's full of food and it's a garage that... But besides that point, I mean, that doesn't seem legitimate. It never has been legitimate. They probably... What, is that a small business? They don't even have proper running water, for crying out loud, people. I think they brought in a porta potty because the people that live in the house are not, they're Africans. Two different groups of people, right? Punjabis aren't going in the house asking the Africans to use the washroom. Fuck no. Anyway, now they moved in this shipping container from a cargo ship, pushed it right up against the garage door, took up the whole freaking driveway, And there's a door right in front of it, a big white fucking door. Like, you go down where that leaky building is that nobody wants to buy or lease because it's too expensive, and most of the old people are being locked up in British Columbia, Canada anyway, if they're not dying in their freaking homes. I'm just saying. A door or two down, you have the UN soldiers out there with their massive, and we're talking like a little teeny weeny rancher with, and I've pointed this out before, with no yard, but just enough to put like 7 vehicles with these, like, you know, like 5 or 7 fucking vehicles, and we're talking like big dump trucks and shit in between the cars. And the city doesn't care about that either. Yeah. Stupid. And that's supposed to be residential. Yeah. Anyway. So, you know, he talking, right? Like, if I was to do either or on this property, what these Punjabis are doing between the two groups, with one with the vehicles, the other one is with the freaking, I don't know. It's like a restaurant, but it's a drive-through. It's pick up as you go, or we'll deliver it to you. And it's all being made in a garage. And now they've brought in a fucking shipping container and put it right in front of the garage with the door that you can go through. And I guess you can go through another door to get into the garage. I mean, like, whatever. It doesn't seem right. The city doesn't do anything about that. I'd be surprised if they had a license for that. Maybe they do. Maybe they do. But I mean, there is such a thing as called food safe, right? And you're supposed to have functioning kitchens and shit. There's no functioning kitchen. That's not a fucking kitchen. That's a fucking garage that was made into a chop shop. You know what I mean? It's like running an after-hours club. Right? Only this one's being done in broad daylight. Yeah.
That's really what it is. What happens if these guys try to stay open? They're going to have the police stay.
But if I tried to do that, no way. I'd be shut down in a freaking heartbeat. Oh yeah, that's what I mean by organized religion. Mm-hmm. Yeah, for sure.
It's showing up at their door. And if they're like, well, I'm going to stay open anyway, you need to leave my store. Well, the goons are just going to come back with tanks, bigger guns.
And I phoned that board director. I asked him for my certificates back from the foundation. He hasn't bothered to call me back, so God forbid if he lost them. Because that'd be like just terrible. Like that, just awful, man. There's no reason for him to have lost them. And lose him. You don't lose stuff like that.
The police will come back. You can't resist them. You can't get a petition going. Nope. When they rule this way or that way, you have to obey. Or else they will come and use force to shove it down your throat. They won't just stick a thing on your door. They will come and lock your door, like they did back during the cough. Friends, this is where it's going. This is where it's going to be. What happens when this doesn't work? Are they going to change it from 11 p.m. to 6 a.m.? Are they to something more like 6 p.m. to 6 a.m.? What's next?
I wonder who pays the hydro in that little place between the Africans and the Punjabis. I wonder how they divvy up the hydro bill. Seriously.
Are other cities going to do this? Is you're going to go out to the store late at night and find your store shut down wherever you live? Because your state's like, hey, they can do it in Philadelphia, we can do it here. A lot to think about. These principles are important. Where is the boundary of what government is allowed to do?
Well, come to British Columbia, Canada. If you're a criminal, chances are they'll get away with a whole lot of shit from A to Z. And it's not even race specific. Obviously, some get preferential treatment compared to others, but sometimes it boils down to it's not what you know, but who you know. You know what I'm saying? Yeah.
What point do we as citizens just have to say no?
Anyway, I just wanted you to hear that the gig is up with people coming and catching a clue when it comes to murder by fentanyl. And I'm glad. I'm really glad that he addressed that and put it out there, because the more people come to the realization that our cops are dirty, right, and are capitalizing off of the mayhem that's going on in the community as they also encourage it. Oh, just leave your keys by the front door. Don't worry. They won't come in and fucking hijack you in the house. They'll just grab the keys and run off with your car. And then maybe, just maybe, we might be able to find it after it was abandoned. We're not sure exactly what kind of, condition it's going to be in, but, just make sure you have good insurance. And then your car gets stolen. Andre, shut up. Your car gets stolen, and then you go to your insurance company, and they'll come up with some song and dance that somehow it was your fault, and they won't cover it. They won't cover it, like my costumes. I gave Sierra $3,500 in costumes, right, to give her a fair fighting chance when she went up to Kamloops, to try and do something productive. And she got set up, literally, with the hospital fucking taking out an appendix that probably didn't need to be taken out. But they did it anyway because they could, and they would get paid for it. Then they tossed her out on the streets, and then all those costumes disappeared because the hotel basically locked her out. And then when I phoned up, and I had a house insurance in those days, right? And when I phoned up and, I put a claim in, they freaking denied it. Yeah, they denied it. So all these carjacking situations, don't be surprised. They'll deny the policy owners. They'll be like, well, what happened? They'll be like, oh, well, so-and-so came into my house, grabbed my keys, and ran out. Well, that's your fault. You shouldn't have made it so that they could get your keys. And then you call the cops, and they'll just act dumb and say, well, they're busy. They ain't got time. Suck it up, Buttercup. It was an accident. Move on. Yeah.
Probe into the
Okay, so we're just following up here on these
multitudes of the
so-called
people of the earth will
robots,
repent and turn away from their wicked and ungodly behavior.
which
They will turn to God, repent,
they're starting to,
offer of salvation, and cry
what do you
for
call
mercy
it?
and forgiveness. In this video, I'll be showing some of these horrific prophecies and their occurrences in the Bible.
This is a robotic waiter serves. There's two of them right here, and I'm doing a little bit of a copy and paste right, and then we're going to take it to exposure. Okay. This is just a I guess, what are they called, shorts? 2 million views. Of course, YouTube would promote this, right? Because it has an agenda. Where my video with the coroner of British Columbia, Canada, with the motherboard, aka processing board, in its hair, only has 35 views. Don't you find that interesting? I do. Yeah. appears to be cross-eyed. Okay, so we'll watch it. Oh man, what am I doing? And then there's this one. Okay, now remember, this is what they show you. This is what they're showing you. Well, truthers just drop little blips and blurbs. You know, they don't delve into it. Now I get more views on BitChute, but ain't nobody talking about what I'm doing here. Well, probably because it's too real, right? In terms of that corner, so-called corner, that's getting paid by the taxpayers of British Columbia, Canada, to falsify death certificates, even though the thing's not real, in terms of the coroner, because it's a robot being handled by the RCMP, Royal Canadian Mounted Police, while the province of British Columbia, Canada, is covering up that fact and anything else nefarious around what these things do. Okay, so we're just going to watch this, and then I'm going to take some copy and paste paints. You can see. So that's a good one to copy and paste. I'll come back and do it. So what do you think? Do you think these things are real? Do you think they're quote-unquote robots? Or do you think they're people dressed up to look like robots in terms of movement? What do you think? Okay, so what I'm thinking now is this is like what, a little bit of predictive programming? They're just getting you ready for these things to start taking over human jobs at your local food chain, or maybe at the 7-Eleven, or maybe at the grocery store, or how about the coroner's office, where they're making, $125,000 a year with all their pension plans and dental plans and, healthcare plans and superannuation plans and their disability packages and their severance and buyout packages, and then don't forget their expenses, okay? Being that they work for the State Department or the provincial government or federal government, being that they're already employed but ain't nobody talking about it because they're just bringing them into restaurants, putting them in low-paying jobs. Yeah, okay. But with that said, this thing, here, I want to copy and paste this one. This thing is kind of moving jerky, don't you think? It's kind of moving jerky. But yet, we've seen other videos, actually a couple years ago, really, where you've got these robots dancing and jumping off of things, and they're like jumping, they're running and jumping from stump to stump to stump, and they're jumping off and flipping and doing all kinds of crazy crap. Yeah, dancing. You would think that it was, a human that was dancing, not a robot. It wasn't all jerky and shit, that's for sure. I wonder if that video is still available. Either or. And then we've got the video where Canadian Prepper just put up that four-legged, whatever you want to call it, acting like it was a super spider that was just right, smooth as apple pie, where this thing is like, why are we getting two different types of images when it comes to robots? That's something you need to think about. So basically what I'm doing here is I'm taking 5 still frames of each robot, and there's 2 of them there. Alright, you can see. Alright, just saving it as a basic image for anyone that wants to do this kind of stuff. Because this is the only way we're going to be able to truly expose them in situations where, like, they're hired on as a corner. Alright, I'm on number 7 now. I'm only doing 5 each. And then what I'm going to do, this is just off of Windows 10. I prefer Windows 7. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to save this onto a flash drive after the fact. I'm going to take it to my Windows 7 computer onto that paint. And then I'm going to expand them. And then I'm going to crop them. And then I'm going to take it to a new program. Well, it's not new, it's a very old program, really. Roxy. I don't know what number it is, but it's Roxy. Roxy. And then we're going to take it to exposure. And we're going to see what we get. Now, then what I do is I turn this on. And I wait. So, we'll copy and paste this one. I'm just showing you how I do this. Okay? So that, for the ones that just put the blurb out there, whether it's fear porn, whether it's to make themselves like they're in the hip and the now, not in the no, but in the now. Whoops, I need to paste that. Or they're intelligent, or they know what they're talking about, but they're only surface scratching. Well, if you're going to surface scratch, you might as well go to the next level and go under the surface. Alright? Unless, of course, you're controlled opposition and you're going to steer away from the truth versus actually talk about the truth and show the truth, so that other people actually have a fighting chance to be able to protect their families as this situation gets more and more and more out of control. Because it's going to, unless people put a stop to it. But right now they're being lulled with these robots as if they are our friends. Okay. They're trying to put human identities onto these things and normalize them as equals, when in fact they're not. Okay? Right, then I come back to showing you. Oh God, there's that light. Andre, can you turn off that light behind me? Doesn't help with the freaking light behind me. I really need to do this in the dark. Yeah, I forgot. I don't necessarily see it. Here we go.
I need your cup.
Thanks.
Have to wash it?
No, I have to can turkey in a little while. Okay, so where's the motherboard? Do you think they got the motherboard in the hair? What do you think? Maybe. I'm sure they move it around town. Right? Here's this one. I might have to go back and do a few more because I forgot about that light in the back. Shoot. Alright. Now this gets to be a little time consuming, so I don't know. But it's important. When you start losing your family members to these things, and the handlers that control them, well, perhaps you'll step up to the plate and be an advocate to put an end to it, so that your kids and grandkids actually have a freaking fighting chance. Because as it is, they're just commodities. Oh, now I can't see. That's the problem. They're just commodities. Something to exploit and to use as body parts. Yeah. For these things. For sure. Yeah. Where am I? And then we want number 9. I need a little flashlight. Can't see shit. I think that's 9. Yeah. Alright. I figure I'll just work on this a little here, a little there. Right? Because I've got other things to do. Thank you. Okay. And we'll do this again. Let's see what we get. I think it looks at us again. Yeah. That's a good one. It's waving at you. Hold on it. Hold on. Oh yeah. And when you do this kind of stuff, make sure your computer screen is clean. Right? It was seeing this little black dot, and I'm like, you know, I can't see very well, right? And I'm like, what the hell is that? Oh. And then I realized that there's, you know, crap on my computer screen. So anyway, took it off. I'll have to clean it. So if you do stuff like this, try and remember to clean your computer screen. Just saying. Yeah. These are Asian. You notice that, eh? Right, you notice that, eh? Now that's a human hand. I think this one's human. Alright, so you get the contrast between this hand and this hand. Also remember, these things are collecting data. They look right at you. You can see that. And they're collecting data. Yeah. Just how they, you know how they put those face recognition devices up and about wherever they put them? Well, they can put them in this thing too, right? And what kind of data is collecting? It's hard to say. Alright. This is that other so-called robot. You can see what's going on back there. Kind of. Is that another robot? Could be. Asian man. What do you think? I don't know. Okay, my eyes aren't very good here. But do you think that's a robot there? I say that just because of the way its hand is. Are they dressing up robots and making them look like customers? Right? I'm just saying, you know, because you're dealing with demented people that live in a false reality. You have to remember, some of these individuals actually like to have sex with their sex toys. I'm just saying. So if they're willing to go as far as that, what's to say that they wouldn't, just because of the way, look how it's just, right? I'm just saying. Okay, so just remember, there's a war going on of some kind. You know, psychological warfare with our food supply, right? Our public representatives, you can't call them leaders. You know, they're putting the fear in everybody. You know, with the cost of food going higher, with shortages sporadically spread out across the continent and into other countries, our supply chains being shut down, more recently with the bridge in Baltimore that fell apart because of a barge or a shipping container or something like that. And, you know, just the whole 9 yards, people. Right? So, just by the way this thing is holding its hand, makes me wonder if that's not a customer that's actually a robot. Just to fill up the place, to make it look like the environment is popular. Right? I'm just saying. Or perhaps this whole thing is staged. But I think what I'm going to do is, I'm just going to, oh my God, I'm so tired. I've been so stressed out, you don't even know. Anyway, I think I might upload this after I'm done, in terms of the next video I'll work on will be the exposure part of what you're seeing here. And I'll just add in the link on the next video to this video. Otherwise it just gets too long, right? And I'm not really up to a 3-hour video, because when you start taking it to exposure, you know, some of it I'll just have my camera running as I do it. And you know, I don't want to get, there's other things, like I want to get back to the coroner of British Columbia, Canada, aka the robotoid that gets paid large amounts of money by the taxpayers to falsify death certificates with a fraudulent signature, being that the thing isn't even human. Okay? This is just a comparison to what I'm working on. I'm suspicious just by the way it's holding its hand. Okay, I'm just saying. See, and it's not even moving. It doesn't even move. That's another thing I'm noticing. Right? So, hold on. And, you know, they make these clips so fast. I don't even think... I wonder if you can go on slow speed on this. Let me see. No. Doesn't appear that way. Okay. So let's see. Let's see if it moves its hand. Oh, maybe a little bit. Maybe. Okay, yeah. It went like that. So maybe that is a human. Maybe. Maybe. Here's another person sitting in here. Now it's looking right at us. You notice that? Do you see that? What kind of data is it collecting? Why did that fake coroner, robotoid coroner, position itself right in front of the door, looking at me and anyone beside me when it came to my kids? What was it doing? What was it looking for? What was it collecting? What was it storing? What was it computing and analyzing and trying to come to a conclusion as to whatever it was programmed to do? Because there was no reason for it to be right there in front of the John Hart's door. When it comes to a coroner robotoid. Okay, do you know what this reminds me of? Maybe you've seen the movies. I'm sure there's been more than one similar type of movie. But, you know, they're like horror movies, scary movies, right? Where there's a psychopath that goes around killing people and then takes their bodies and brings them all to one location and then stages them for different props to a play or to a story or whatever, you know, like whatever's going on in their head. They kill people and then they take their bodies and put one here and dress it up to look like that, and then another one here to dress it up. You know, they're all sitting around the table, but they're all dead, right? Just saying. This kind of reminds me of this, because if you notice this hand, there's that individual here. Now it did move, I seen it, but look at its hand. Where am I? Look at its hand. Okay? Now, you can see better than me. But if you look at its hand, and then you look at these things' hands, well, you're not going to see it here. But they tend to go like this. Right? If you look at the hand, where am I? This one's still up for debate. This could be one big play. Robot, with the handlers sitting up in some control room, making these things move to see how they can get them moving all at the same time to make it look realistic in terms of that mental illness, where You've got a psychopath that has a whole bunch of dead bodies sitting around the table with a few standing off to the side decomposing, but they don't care about that. They care about the narrative, whatever it is that they're trying to recreate, not only in their own minds, but in a warped kind of physical sense. Because this is kind of what I'm thinking right now, right? Because I'm just really wondering, like, what are they grabbing something? Is that how they grab their food? What is that? Is that fake food too? Maybe. Yeah, it doesn't really move much. Right? Clicked on, click off. Right? So this moved, but not so much this. What's it doing with the hand? We'll have to check into that, eh? Okay, so whatever this individual here is doing, if you notice, their arm is still extended. Now this is in a new position, but this hasn't really moved since the last time it moved. Okay, I'm just saying. What's in the background over here? It's hard to say. And if you do shit like this, you need to look at everything in the background, because you'd be surprised what you might find when it comes to that satanic symbolism. Okay, so we're looking at two things. We're looking at the hand with the arm that is extended and hasn't really moved since the last time it moved. Well, this thing continues to move, right? And what I'm doing is I'm just going in little spurts. See? It didn't move. Where is it? Oh. Okay, there's that. Perhaps the hand has moved now. I don't know. Notice how they try and make it sexy. What do you think? Because you're not dealing with mentally sound people. That's why. Okay, so now we go on to the next one, but I've already, I'm at 31 pictures or something, but some of them have the light in the background. But I am going to do this one, because we can see what's going on here, right? It makes me think of dressing up a Barbie doll. But if we notice, because it's like an addiction for whoever creates these things, right? Yeah. Okay, and you have to remember, there's only so many faces in the world. Only so many faces. Where are they getting these faces from? What do you think? Is this thing scanning your face? Getting the dimetrics of your skeletal structure? right? To be able to formulate a face through simulation on a computer. And then once they get the dimetrics of it, you know, the numbers, right? The angles and the whatever, then they have a new face to create a new one of those things. I'm just saying, right? Because they're not creating these faces out of thin air. Hell no. They're copying and pasting. They're copying the face from somebody else. This is not an original creation of somebody's imagination station. This is a reproduction of something from somewhere else. In terms of somebody probably looked like that at one point, but maybe they no longer exist. They've been replaced. Okay, so I'm going to end it on this video, and then I'm going to work on taking it to my Windows 7, cropping the pictures, and then taking it to the program so I can do exposure. And then I'm going to do a video on it, and I'm going to keep working on this, people, because, you know, when it comes to food prep and all this other crap and other shit that's going on in my life, I've got my son telling me to get rid of my stuff but buy more food, because we're going to go into a Venezuela economy over the next several years. I don't know if we'll go as far as being like Venezuela with the economy, but it's possible. Right? Don't take things for granted. However, I've been doing so much food prep all these years. It started with, well, I always had a little extra in the house, regardless, in case of an emergency, you know, power went down, earthquake, whatever. But then along came Fukushima, and so, you know, Tisha doesn't give a rat's ass about fucking food prep. Like, as far as she's concerned, she lives for the moment. She doesn't care, right? She thinks I'm a fanatic and I've wasted my time and money and all this other crap, and I'm being foolish, and if the shit should hit the fan, that's when she'll deal with it. But then at the same time, we also know that her and Alex crack jokes with whoever, saying, well, if the shit hit the fan, we'll just go back home to mom, or we'll go to Mama Lynn's house. But in the meantime, ain't nobody doing what I'm doing. Well, my son is now realizing, you know, what's going on a global sense when it comes to, what is it? Global, you know, warming, right? Extreme weather events, supply chain disruptions, wars breaking out, just the cost of living going up higher, gasoline vehicles being phased out, gas freaking stoves, and just the whole 9 yards, right? So he's a little more on the ball, but he's expecting too much from me by saying, get rid of your stuff, but it's okay if you go off and buy more food. Like, well, my daughter is saying, to hell with it, I don't care, do what you want. You know, she wanted to go buy clothes for the kids, right? Her kids. And I said, well, why don't you stop off at the thrift store? You know, instead of paying $15 a pair of pants, you can probably pick up for their size, right? Really cheap, like $3. Sometimes you get them off half price, right? Oh, no, that's not what I want. I want my kids looking good when they go out and blah, 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 blah. I don't do, you know, whatever. And I'm like, yeah, but Tisha, they're growing so fast. Like, you know, the world is changing. Like, you know, what's going to happen when a time comes? And, I'll just, you know, I'm not like you. I don't care, you know, like, I'll deal with it when the time. I don't live with Fukushima over my head. And I'm like, it's not even about Fukushima. Anyway, it's like, fucking shut up. Leave me the hell alone. I don't care where it's coming from these days. People, it's so frustrating. So anyway, I just put robots into YouTube search, and this is what came up. They're exploiting women, but then we also know they got their super soldiers, right? All right, so girl robot humanoid. Human robots roaming on London streets. So I guess they got them walking around on London streets. This one would be interesting to copy and paste. Meet Chloe, the world's first self-learning female AI. Okay. Most advanced and realistic humanoid robot in the... Alright, and then this is Emeka, the most advanced lifelike robot. And this is what they're showing you. Okay. So, why don't we look at this one? The ones that are already roaming the streets. Alright. There's two of them there. And what is the purpose? Okay, what is the purpose? These are the buildings. What is the purpose of having these things roam the streets? Do you have an answer for that in London? So, you got lots to choose from. None of them they've got them in service positions where they're serving food. But they've never put them in a position of being a coroner to sign death certificates and do official investigations in a legitimate sense without committing fraud. Oh, no, because we're dealing with ethical human beings here that create this shit. Right? So this is a human, and this is a robot. What is the purpose of this? To intimidate the human. That's what I would think. Okay, I tried to, okay, listen to this. AI Insider Shorts. Meet Chloe, the world's first self-learning. Listen and look.
I take care of most everyday tasks like cooking, housework, or managing your appointments, for example.
And I understand you're the first android to have passed the Turing test. Could you tell us a little more about that?
I really didn't do much, I just spoke with a few humans to see if they could tell the difference between me and a real person. It was a really interesting experience.
This is the world's first realistic female robot assistant.
I'm the first personal assistant built by CyberLife. I take care of most everyday tasks like
Do you believe this? What do you think of it? If they can do this, they can put a robotoid coroner to represent the province of British Columbia, Canada, to commit heinous crimes against innocent human beings as they falsify legitimate records on the basis of committing fraud on more than one level. Not to mention robbing taxpayers of their money because the individual is being paid as a robot, posing as a human with their government paycheck, government dental plan, government health care plan, government pension plans, government disability plans, government superannuation life insurance policy plans, government severance packages and buyouts, not including government expenses. Is that what people want as they're being targeted by these things? And their controllers, handlers? They're looking at you for a reason, not because they want to befriend you. They're collecting data on you. For what purpose? They're scanning your face. For what purpose? Right? Where do they get these faces from? You should really ask yourself, where do these faces come from? Okay, I'm looking at this one. I don't know what that is, but it flashes. I'm wondering where they get the hair from. Who did they steal it from, people?
I really didn't do much, you know. I just spoke with a few humans.
See?
To see if they could tell the difference between me and a real person. It was a really interesting experience.
This is the world's first realistic female robot assistant.
I'm the first personal assistant built by CyberLife. I take care of most everyday tasks like cooking, housework, or managing your appointments, for example.
And I understand you're the first android to have passed the Turing test. Could you tell?
Remember when I say they took Shimei's teeth? This thing is sitting up here saying that I spoke to a few humans to see if it could tell if I was real, right? Well, one way to make it look more real would be to insert real teeth. Now, whether these teeth are real or not, I don't know at this point. All I know is that when they did what they did to Shimei's body, they took out her teeth, and people, she had beautiful teeth. Straight, beautiful, strong teeth. That's why they took them. Where Sierra's teeth were rotten because of the methamphetamine and all that crap that she was doing, right? So they wouldn't have taken Sierra's teeth, but they definitely took Shimei's teeth. And then they took those teeth and they put it in one of these things to make it look more real, to see if a human could tell it was not a human in terms of that. Right? Just saying. So yeah, they got the face from somewhere. They didn't just magically create it out of their head. It was not some fairy tale that was drawn out. And no, it was computed out, and then it was made to look like that because it came from someplace else in terms of the look. The hair, they're not going to put synthetic hair on this because they want it to make it look as real as it possibly can. So somebody lost their hair. Well, oh, they went to the salon and got it free. It was donated for charity. Yeah, no, people, I don't think so. I'm pretty sure they fucked up with Shimei. They, no. And they definitely take the teeth from cadaver bodies or wherever they can get them from, because the more they can make these things, quote unquote, look real, the more they can fool the masses and phase out us as they bring in these things to have sex with and let them do their paperwork and perhaps cook a meal. I'm just saying, who needs women when you have that, right? For some of these men, if you want to call them men, that create this shit, because it's like a perversion. It's like those dead bodies sitting around the table all posed, right, to recreate some sort of psychological connection to whatever it is that the murderer of those people sitting around, dead people sitting around the table, or, it's like, you've seen those movies. Well, it's the same kind of crap. Same kind of crap. It's just being done differently. So what? Another Robotoid? There's that female Robotoid. Another Robotoid? Or maybe a freak? What do you think? Okay, I don't know if I said this. I brought this up. So this is my BitChute. My subscriber count was 62, went down to 61. But somebody's clicking on to these videos. Now, whether they're watching them all or not remains to be seen. 308 views. Right. 270. Where am I? 270. 202. My goal is just to get the information out there at this point. 310, everyone's being mum on it as usual in terms of what I'm talking about the last few videos. 290, right, because it's too real. 292, right, okay. And then on YouTube, look what YouTube likes to do. Where's YouTube? Here, we'll just bring up another this is what YouTube likes to do. Same old crap. It was a 103, now it's 1002. Nothing new there. Right. Here we go. 38 views. The gig is up. Robot toys exposed. 38 views. Right. This one's 55. The rabbit hole goes deep. Fentanyl equals bodies. This one's 48. These men aren't crazy. No justice, no peace. You can see what's going on with YouTube, right? Why are we not surprised? Okay, so I'm going to end this video, and then after that, I'm going to work on little here, little there, on what I'm working on. But before I end the video, I just wanted to, this is the Popular Report, the title of his video that he just put out 37 minutes ago, and it's already been a buzz. He's not the only one that's talking about this. Oregon nationalizes people's well water. And then, of course, food shortages updates, which come in randomly from all across the United States. He reads through comments as well as other countries. And then, of course, here's another video that he put up 8 hours ago. I haven't watched these, right? How the Key Bridge collapse will impact you. And this is Baltimore, with that bridge collapsing because of that barge, right? Running into it in the middle of the night. People really need, they're doing frame by frame. People are, you know, doing frame by frame to try and determine what happened. They need to take it to exposure. If you go, sure, do frame by frame, but you need to go that one step further and take things to exposure, and you'd be surprised what you might see, honest to God. That's not my focus. My focus is obviously fraudulent coroners milking the taxpayers of hundreds of thousands, hundreds of thousands, hundreds of thousands, hundreds of thousands, hundreds of thousands of dollars over the course of its unnatural lifespan as it continues to falsify coroner reports and death certificates to cover up murder, snuff movies, and illegal organ harvesting and other body parts, including teeth and, well, we'll just say fingernails. Or anything to make these robotoys look good, look real. You need fake, what kind, you going to put on fake fingernails? Or are you going to find a way to take off the fingernail and put it on the robotoid? I'm just saying, people. So here it looks like, you know, other people say it's an attack on water now, right? First it's the food, now it's going into the water. So I just wanted to point that out. Okay, so robots don't care about this kind of stuff. They're more interested in making it where we can't have it. I'm just saying. Because when it comes to these robots, it's more than meets the eye. Right? So what I've done is I took off the grease. I put some broth there because I don't need, I can actually probably take a bit more out, because if you notice there's liquid in here. Where am I? Oh. I get so mad at this doctor with what's going on with my eyes, you don't even know. So I'm going to start warming this up. Okay? And then as soon as this is warmed up a bit, I'm just going to take all of this. That's the liver. I'm going to take all of it and I'll put it in here, stir it around with a big spoon, and heat it up. Right? So that some of the juices, even though they've been released, okay, it's going to still release a bit more from the meat itself. Right? And then I'm going to fill up my jars, and then we're going to see what we got left. And then any broth that's left, I would strain it and I'd put it in with that one, and then I've got meat that I picked off of bones, which can go into smaller jars because this is 7 quarts. So it looks like a lot of turkey. Those 2 small ones, right? But these jars, when you start filling them up, fill up pretty fast. So I'm going to try it this way. So let's see what happens. So you can see, I can barely see, people, but you can see, it looks like there's, I know I left the turkey necks, I just cut them into little pieces, right? So I didn't stew up those ones, right? So they're going to go in the jar as is. Normally I would put them in the pot for like making broth and stuff, but just wanted to show you that. I don't know. This changing of eyeglasses constantly, and then having a pair that kind of works for something, and then I grab it and I run off. Like I went downstairs and I took a pair that I could see a little more clearer with when it came to whatever, and one of the lenses fell out. Do you think I could find the lens? No. So like I'm hooped, right? Like stupid. Anyway, I guess I should be grateful that I can still kind of see. I really do miss my eyesight. It makes life so hard living like this. Yeah. Anyway, so I'm just warming this up. I'm going to get it kind of like to the point where it's almost ready to boil. And then I'm just going to take these and I'm going to start putting them in, and I'm going to empty everything in, juice and all, right? Because it's, you know, I did cut, everything's pre-cut, and that's a lot of nutrients in that juice. So hold on. So as I'm waiting, I suppose you could guesstimate approximately how many jars you could get out of this little container. Take it down, break it in 1, 2, so 1, 2, 3, 4. So each little section would probably be enough to fill up a jar. That would be more than enough maybe for 8 jars, right? So I might have a little left over, which I can take over to the next, because I'm going to do the little bits and ends and everything else with some of that broth that's left over, and then anything else after that will just be straight up broth. And yeah. Okay, you can see how much I took out of there and I put in there. Now mind you, you got pieces of neck bones in there and just the little nibs of the wing, just the little, you know, very tip of the wing part, right? Just because. Technically, you normally don't do stuff like that, but I thought I'd try it out just for that extra fat content. See what happens. So I might have that raw still for the next batch, which will probably be good. I don't have the enthusiasm like I used to. This is so hard to see. It's so draining. Yeah. So I'm glad I did everything I did when I did do it. I'm not looking forward to standing here for 90 minutes and then having to do again for at least another 75, if not 90, depending on what I'm doing. So basically what I'm doing here is I'm just going to heat it up, get it hot, right? So that the turkey releases some of its juices, so that when I fill up the jar with the turkey, I can fill up the liquid right up, basically. And we'll go, yeah, to about the 1-inch line, right? Whereas if you put in raw turkey, they say don't put no water in it, but then you don't never know where your water line is going to be, and I like to have the juice. So that's why I'm doing it this way. Okay, so doing it this way, you're going to lose the color of your beautiful, clear turkey broth. But as it cooks in the jar, that will all change, right? So basically, I've heated it up. Now I'm just going to turn off the heat and let it settle for a little bit. And I'll fill up my jars, and I'm going to count it, and then we're going to see what happens. Okay, so I did the first batch. Now I took that container, I just put it in there, okay? Whatever I can't from there get into the jar, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to boil it after the fact. And like I'm going to do the same thing that I just did. And then I'm going to take out whatever I need to fill up these jars a little more, because you can see just some space there, right? I don't want to pack them real tight, but then I don't want them too loose either. And then, so I'm just going to top off the little spaces, right? And then there'll probably be a little left. And I have two options. I can leave it in the pot, take out the juice and everything that I want, and I'm going to fill up the jars with what's in this pot. Because whatever's in the fridge, I want to make just straight up turkey broth, right? Or use a bit of it for the meat that I picked. We'll see how much is left here, because this is what I'd use first from the meat that's already been cooked. I would still use this because that's broth as well. Plus it has whatever was inside this raw turkey. Now it's starting to foam a little bit, but I ain't gonna worry about that, okay? Because your turkey would have gone into the jars raw, so it doesn't really matter, right? Just stir it back in. I don't have to worry about fat because I basically defatted it, but turkey in itself is kind of fatty anyway, so. And because I can't see very well, it's just a Mod Podge. If I thought I came across a piece of neck, I tried to spread it out between the jars, but it's so hard for me to see, people, that you get what you get, right? It's just to supplement some kind of meal. It's nothing, it was supposed to be on sale. 2 little turkeys like this, $24 each. Like, yeah, okay. It's like, you want to say $48? No, it was $24 each. Yeah, it cost me $48 for 2 little turkeys. I'm showing you how to stretch it out, right? Instead of 2 meals with leftover this, I did dehydrate the bones. I washed them after they were done cooking, right? Got all the little bits and pieces of meat in the fridge. Actually, there's some cat food left over I should give to the cats. I forgot about that. And the bones I dehydrated, when I was putting them in, they were so soft that it was easy to break them up. And I have a container over there, it says bone meal on it, so I'm just going to crush it up a bit more and put it in there and use it for my plants. I suppose if you wanted to, honestly, I could crush it up for myself, honestly, and then I don't know how well it would stay dehydrated for how long in a jar, in a cupboard or wherever. But if you were to crush it up, now keep in mind it's dehydrated, so it's already dry, right? So you crush it up. It was so tasty, but but you could crush it up. You could put it in a jar, and you could freeze it, and it would last longer than if it was in a jar in your cupboard. And you could add it to gravies and those kind of things if you wanted to add, quote unquote, that extra calcium through homemade bone meal, right? Because when I'll eat the bone, I like gnaw on it. I don't eat the bone, the whole bone, but it's you could. Just saying. But I would probably freeze it, even though it's dehydrated. Unless, of course, you knew you were going to be using it quite often, right? So I might do that. I might. And I'd just sprinkle it into like gravies or something. Just sprinkle it in, right? You could sprinkle it into your soup, for crying out loud. After it's been grinded up into powder, oh yeah, you could. Why pay for it if you can make it yourself? Right? Okay, so I still miss my eyesight, people. Every day I miss my eyesight. Every day. I try not to get upset about it. My eyes are like... I try not to get upset about it. I mean, you can only live your life. I try not to get jealous. Right? All these criminals running around, whether they're petty criminals or sophisticated criminals, frick, even robots can see better than me. It's like, what the fuck, right? Why did I get the short end of the stick? But back in the day, there was some artist, I can't remember who he was. He worked for, he did a lot of art for the Romans and their cathedrals and stuff, right? On the ceilings. And he was pretty famous. And he did beautiful work. And then he went blind. And he couldn't see his work anymore. And I'm like, well, if he can do it, I can do it. Right? What else are you supposed to do? You can't beat yourself up over it. No point in trying to lash out at other people for it, even though we know I fell through the cracks through the government's policies, and Dr. Vasinski told me to take him to court, which prevented me from being able to get a referral in time. But whatever. So I think about that painter. I do. I can't remember his name. But he was top notch. And in the end, whatever he did, he just couldn't see it. Other people, it's still around. People could still see it in certain situations. But he couldn't see it. Could you imagine whole life painting, making beautiful things, and then you get into old age and you want to go back and reminisce and you can't see what you painted? Oh my God. We're talking murals and stuff, right? But yeah, I just like, why do bad people have eyesight and I don't? I'm not a bad person. I don't get it. I don't get it. Oh yeah, so after this is done, with the jars being filled up, then I take the liquid, I fill up the jars, and if there's any turkey left, then I'll bring this, whatever's left with liquid, and I'll bring it to a boil. And depending on how much is left, I have two choices that I can do. I can either can it with what I'm going to be canning next with the cooked turkey and whatever else broth I have, or I can take those few chunks of turkey, and this would actually be a good idea, and because they're now cooked, right, because it was a frozen turkey, unthaw it, you can't unthaw and then refreeze, but you can unthaw, cook, and then freeze, right? So being that it's going to be cooked, I can take whatever's left in there and I can freeze it individually into little pieces, like whatever piece it is, just put it on a plate and put it in my freezer and let it freeze individually, and then put it in a little bag like this, and then you know, for amari, you know, I can take out a piece and put it in this little pot there with some sweet potato or something or whatever, and I'm thinking maybe I'll do that if there's anything left after I fill up these jars, which there probably will be a few pieces, and I'm going to try that, and if it works out really good for amari, like, if you know, because it's a hit and miss with feeding him food, man, but it might work. And because I want to give them more protein, right? I'm not getting enough protein. So, I don't know how much turkey has in protein, but either or. I'm going to do that. I'm probably going to freeze them into chunks, and then I'm going to incorporate them into his meal a chunk at a time. Yeah. It's so funny. My son, bye. I'll take anything I get now. You know, this is going to be Armageddon. You know, people are going to go nuts. There's going to be food shortages. I'm getting scared. Because I said, you getting scared? And I said, you sound like you're getting scared. I am scared. I said, well, calm down. You know, you just relax. Like, you know, you can't get too panicky about it. Right? You know, you're scaring me now. Right? Yeah. And then I told him I went off and I bought a bit more. I bought red rice wheat because it's easier to digest, right? And I got some whole oat groats because they'll last a long time. And I do have a flaker. I did buy a flaker. I even did a little video on it. Haven't used it yet. I haven't had a chance, right? And soybeans. I bought some soybeans, organic. It's all organic, right? To make soya milk. Yeah, I'm going to try and make soya milk in the next month. I got my bucket right over there. Look at this. Look how nice those buckets. I'll show you these buckets. See? I'm setting up my little system. I got my little system going on here. What does that say? I can't read it, people. Oh my God, I can't read it. Frick. I can't read it. That's how blind I am. It's all blurry. This doctor screwed my eyes over. So we got our all-purpose flour and our unbleached flour. Anyway, one is a red rice wheat and one is soya beans, right? And there's my little white sugar anyway. And then I got another bucket like that in the small bathroom with durum wheat, organic durum wheat from the farms out here, which is good for pasta, right? So those will be my main two go. The rice wheat, because it's easy to digest. And then we've got the durum wheat for pasta. And that's when I'll bring out that spider machine. Or I've got pasta makers up there, right? So I'm at the point now where I want to start making things, not buying things. I told him I bought 2 turkeys, right? That I'm canning. I didn't get, you told me you weren't gonna can no more. He goes, good. I said, okay. But he's still being kind of mean to me though, right? Like, just like obnoxious. So I just stay away from him. Just fucking stay away from me, man. Alright, you do you and let me do me. But I'm at the point where I don't really want to be buying too much of anything. It's just funny how things switch like that, right? I figure what I'm dealing with right now, see, I'm standing over the stove. This stuff is, right? Turkey, I don't know, seems to get my histamines going. And, okay, so that's all you have to do. Just get it going. And because what it does is it just kind of brings everything together. And I guess white turkey meat swells in a jar. Yeah. Raw. I don't know about like this. I'm hoping it won't. Right? This one's fine. This one's fine. I wouldn't, maybe one more piece in there. Just one little piece. But yeah, it's funny, people. I'm ready to stop buying, and my son's saying, buy, buy, buy. Okay, I don't think so. No. Not too much right now. No. I need to get caught up with my bills first. Oh, off. So, there we go. We don't want the foam coming up. Okay, so I'll be back. Okay, so Andre walked by and says, oh man, that smells so good. And as you can see, the color is coming back in terms of the actual broth itself, because, you know, it's stewed for over 24 hours, right? So you're starting to see some of the color now, right? So, now, the hard part. Headspace. About an inch, right? From what I can tell, this one seems to be a little low. I don't know. See, it's not as simple as just go off and get a pair of glasses, because my eyes don't work like that. No, when you can't see proper lighting, it becomes very, very difficult. Now, before I close everything up here with the lids, I like to give it a few minutes, 5 minutes or whatever, 10 minutes, for everything to settle down. Yeah. Now, I already debubbled, so that should be good. And then what's left in this pot, honestly, I should try this for a Mari. So you can see there's still a fair amount in there. I could put the majority of it on this plate. And then what I'll do is I'll just bring it to a boil. Well, it's already cooked, but I'll just bring it up a little, just one more time. Because when I use it, I'm going to end up cooking it anyway. Unless, of course, if I cook it now and then let it unthaw, I could just, I don't know. Everything has to be pureed, and then I go through all that, and then I go to feed him, and he doesn't want it. It's like, it drives me nuts. It's a hit and miss with him these days. He's too comfortable with these drinks, right? And then if he gets constipated, which he still gets sometimes, that becomes a problem as well. He's so active. Okay, I'm just going to take out a tablespoon there or so. Maybe I'll put it one more on this side. So hopefully the turkey breast won't swell, because that's what happens. Everything settles down and then the water line drops on it, right? So that's why I like to give it just an extra few minutes to for everything to settle down. About an inch, between an inch and a quarter. I'm going more with the inch. Yeah. All right. Now I'll get my lids ready. So yeah, I'm going to heat this up just because it was frozen and raw, and then let it cool. Put it on a plate. Put it in my fridge and freeze them separate. And then I'll put them in a bag. I want to try and incorporate them into whatever I'm going to be doing in here for Amari. Try that, see how that goes. And then if that works in like separate little chunks, right? Then I can do other things. Alright. I suppose this camera's going to blink out here in a minute. So this is looking pretty good. So there's 7 meals for sure. Different size chunks, right? With some with necks. There's a little piece of the wing, just if you like fat, right? There's a little bit of fat in there, not too much, right? I let a little bit slide in. The broth is delicious. It's stewed for 24 hours in my big, beautiful pot. And, yeah. So we'll be back. Okay, so we got all that goodness, right? If you notice, I used up all that broth. This is all that's left. Okay? And then I'll take some more broth that's in my other pot in the fridge now. I'll just top it off a little bit. And then when it comes time to can the little bits and pieces of turkey that have already been cooked, I'll just all together, right? This, I'm going to try. After it cools, I'm going to try freezing it. And then incorporating it into whatever with Amari. I'm going to try it. I think turkey is easy to digest, right? Whether I cook it in with sweet potato, as it's cooking sweet potato maybe, or let it on thaw and just grind it up into the food, right? Because it's already cooked, so I wouldn't have to reheat it. Right. I don't know. Probably put it in his food, cook it up, and then blend it all together at one time. So now, I have to move things along. Oh my lord, sure, drop the chicken on the floor for the cats, eh? Ain't that a bitch? I could see that happening. Oh boy. Switch things around. Dude! Okay. So far, 7 full. These are nice. Really nice. Of those.
What?
I'm glad I did dry canning. In 2020, 21, or whenever I did it. I emptied out steel cut oats from these jars that I had downstairs. Because otherwise I wouldn't have any jars. They're hard to find right now. It's not the season. And I prefer the wide mouth for this kind of stuff. I do.